My name's Jalene, the bird queen, and I'm going to start a video series called Bird Talk Tuesday. With that said, there will be very little editing on this because my editing skills are appalling. So we're just going to see if I can quickly get through all of my pinpoints. So today we are talking, oh gosh, yeah, Riot. I don't want them getting too comfortable with each other. Yeah, you can come, you can hang out over here. Yeah, you can hang out over here. He says, that's a great idea. He says, I'm great at hanging out over here. We are going to talk about the cockatoos, the good and the bad, mostly what it's like owning a cockatoo. So I have my pinpoints here, and we get to get started right now. I used to manage a bird store. I've been in the bird industry for probably about 10 years now. I'm studying for my BTKA, bird training exam. I've taken some other classes, but experience speaks volumes, I think, when getting to be around these guys, and I've been around quite a lot of cockatoos. So here's just my 2 cents when it comes to having these beautiful birds in your home, because they're still wild animals. So first and foremost, cockatoos are one of the most rehomed because they are one of the most long-lived species. In terms of species of parrots, any bird a part of the Cockatooidae family or the Amazonia family, so cockatoos and Amazons, are statistically the most long-lived out of all the birds. Even with improper care, we see them live well into their 40s and 50s, and with proper care, they're going to hit the 60 to 70. Every now and then they can get to 80, but again, they're one of the most long-lived parrots. So a lot of times when you are going to get one of these birds, most likely they're going to outlive you, especially if you're doing everything right. So they live a long time. Riot, he's probably, give or take, in his late teens, I'd like to think. He's a rescue, so we don't know 100%, but I've had him about 10 years, and he's still a young male. And then I have Lady. Lady is, we were told about 60. I know her previous home had her for 40 years, and that first home, they said probably about 20 years. Speaking to avian vets and experts, she probably was a part of the import around 70 in 75. So yeah, she definitely, and she's doing strong. She's going strong. She, has a little hernia, but still active, still healthy in all other aspects. So they live forever. Get prepared for that. The next thing is they are one of the loudest parrots. In terms of decibel ranges, they're going to hit at least 100 to 135 decibels. So your neighbors won't like you if you're not diligent about giving them the proper care. They're kind of like toddlers. They scream and sing when they're happy. So having a loud bird, it doesn't mean they're unhappy. So getting prepared for the loudness that these guys bring is definitely something you're going to be looking into. Earplugs are a good investment if you have a cockatoo and you want peace and quiet, because while you can train them to get quiet, and not scream on end for hours, you do want them to scream. They scream when they're happy. They scream when they're alertive. So that's just something you got to get used to when you have one of these beautiful birds. The next is going to be they're extremely intelligent. I've met about 6 cockatoos of all different species of the Cockatooidae family, named Houdini. So they are experts at escaping and picking their cage. There was a study done in Oxford University on Goffin's cockatoos, especially. So what Riot is Goffin's. And they did the 5 puzzle lock, I wrote it down, let me double check. The 5 lock puzzle box study. So they took a box, and with a bunch of Goffin's cockatoos that weren't trained, they had never seen these boxes before, and they put in different types of puzzles in this box. So for example, one aspect would be like pulling a lock. Another aspect would be unscrewing a screw. So it wasn't like you unscrew 5 screws. Each thing was a separate piece that they had to understand. And not only were basically all of the birds in the study able to eventually figure it out, but they also found that once they were introduced to one specific piece of the puzzle, they were then permanently capable of always doing that same puzzle piece. So they had a cognitive capability to remember a specific puzzle that was done, and then the next time it was introduced, they do it, you know, within a couple of seconds. It didn't take them the same time to figure out how to do it. Once they did it once, they knew how to do it forever. So yeah, they are Houdini. They are great at escaping their cage and solving puzzles. So, you know, you got to be prepared for eventual breakouts. Yeah, they say, we will break out. Yes, you've done it too, Rye. My audio, the next couple of seconds, decided to cut out, so you get to watch a video of a lady eating a piece of bread. So I will do a voiceover to try and fix it. It happens again in the video. Investing in a proper lock is going to be really important. Next, they are destructive. Yes, they are very destructive, as you can imagine. I have met 3 cockatoos named Termite. So yeah, most every cockatoo I've met are extremely destructive when it comes to wood, as they should be. All parrots are supposed to break wood and, you know, be able to destroy wood. That's something a part of their natural environment. If you watch birds in the wild, they're naturally shredding wood. They're going through leaves and branches and tree trunks and things like that. So, you know, it's expected that they're going to break wood, but cockatoos are on another level. I have seen toy as the same toy given to a cockatoo and then given to an Amazon, and 9 times out of 10, the cockatoo will always finish that toy quicker, have the wood shredded, not only, you know, quicker, but done in an exciting way, if that makes sense. I mean, they really do. When they want to shred wood, that is the task at hand, and they will not stop until all of it is shredded. My little girl over here, she was left alone for, I think, 4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, and the wood frame on my door, and I'll see if I can't edit a footage of it because it is important to see, was destroyed within just that, like 4 or 5 minutes. I went downstairs to get them some extra veggies, and when I came back, I had saw she was out, and all of the wood frame of this door was gone. And she was happy. She was like, this is what you wanted, right? That's what I'm supposed to do. So this was some of the damage. I think the camera doesn't do it justice. You know, there's a lot of depth done here, a lot at the bottom, as well as the top over here. So you do want to expect damage at some point, you know. Obviously, you will be on top of it. You want to make sure you don't just leave them unattended with random wood furniture, anything made of wood. It's basically just a toy for them. They are always going to want to chew that. I don't know if you can see this, but the wood stands that you get for them to stand on, as you can see, it's just a toy. Half the time you buy them a new perch to put in their cage or aviary, and within a couple of days it's shredded, and then they don't have anything to stand on. That has happened multiple times. So you are going to invest in a lot of wood. Wood gets expensive over time, but that's just what they're going to do. They're very destructive when it comes to wood. They are moody, you know, out of all the birds. I would say 100% males are always going to be harder than females. Male Amazons and male cockatoos, for some reason, probably it's hormonal based. Males are the ones typically doing more of the searching when breeding. They're more territorial in that sense with, you know, other birds around in the flock. So if you are looking to get a cockatoo at some point, I would highly recommend leaning towards a female. Females just are a little bit more adaptable, a little bit less neurotic, and just that overall, the males seem to be a lot harder. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Rye. Riot's like, yes, I am male, and I am terrible. Not to say he's terrible, but he is one of my hardest birds to care for. We have looked into getting a hormonal implant for him, and that is something, you know, you will probably be on the lookout for. They are a breed that is prone to plucking. They also are one of the breeds that are most prone to self-mutilization or self-harm. So I've seen these birds be put on Haldol, which is like an antipsychotic sedative type medication, which really helps with getting them to stop hurting themselves. But it's sad to know that these these birds, this species in particular, is very prone to plucking, to overpreening, to barbering, and self-mutilating. So when it comes to, plucking and self-mutilating, for Riot, for example, he definitely comes in phases. He always, late spring, early summer, will pull a blood feather. And I've been around this bird. We've been sitting, just hanging out, and all of a sudden, I'm not kidding, like blood has splattered across my face. And I look over at him, and he's just pulled a blood feather, and, they almost twitch with the euphoria. Unfortunately, they, once they've developed this habit, it's nearly impossible to break. And so just that, the males especially, are going to be extremely difficult to care for. Definitely would not recommend. They're not the best talkers. That would be another thing to add. They, the way birds talk, they have a syrinx, they don't have vocal cords that rub together. So in terms of talking capability, they can, do their hi, hello, bye-bye, easy words, but they're not known for their structure in speech, which a lot of people obviously look for when getting a parrot. But just because they're bad talkers doesn't mean they're bad singers, right, Rye? Hello, you said my singing is so pretty. Hello. Wow, hello, bird. Don't eat it. Don't eat it. He's like, I'll break that. He's like, do you want me to break it? If you want them broke, if you need a paper shredder, they're definitely 10 out of 10. I love these birds. I wouldn't trade it for the world, but they are very difficult. With that said, I will say, if you're looking to get one of these beautiful birds, is have an investment plan ready, money set aside. They are definitely, every animal needs medical care, but I think cockatoos, because they can be so destructive and so prone to getting into things, I think they are one of the more likely birds to have to go to the vet for unseen circumstances. So having some money set aside, especially if, you're buying wood for them all the time. I mean, the amount of wood, again, the amount of wood I've bought and just seen gone within like 20 minutes, it breaks your heart because you spent so much money on this wood. But you want that. You want them to be able to shred the wood like that. It's just, in terms of, again, how quickly they're just burning through it, you're going to be spending a lot of money for that. Having a plan in place. I have a plan in place with my husband if it's morbid, but if I got hit by a car, I do not want these birds to be stuck going to a sanctuary and trying to get rehomed in a stressing environment. It's always better to have a plan in place if they need to be rehomed, that they can go kind of directly to someone. And I do have people that know how to care for them and can deal with it. But the reality is, you're probably not going to outlive them. And that's why I also would 100% recommend looking into a rescue. Again, they're one of the most rehomed just because they live so long. So looking into rescues also, the nice thing about a rescue is it really lets you see what you're getting into day one. When you get these as babies are easy to sell and find a home for. They don't do anything. They're happy. They're new to the world. They don't do any of this terrible stuff. All of the neurotic and compulsive and anxiety and aggressive behaviors always happen with sexual maturity, with every bird species, but cockatoos specifically. So if you go and find a rescue that has a lot of these cockatoos, which again, any rescue you find that's a bird rescue, they will have a cockatoo, I promise. You're going to see what that cockatoo is already like. What problems is it already exhibiting? Does it like males or females? Is it good with everyone in the family? Does it get extra hormonal and hard to deal with when it comes to spring, summertime? What is it like? What does it dislike? Is it social? What aspects do you need to be on the lookout for? It really does prepare you to live your whole life with this bird rather than getting a baby and all these bad things starting to present out of nowhere and then having to scramble to try and fix it. not living in an apartment. I made a little video, these are not apartment birds. You do want to have some type of home or place you can live that is okay with the noise. We actually soundproofed a good portion of our bird room because we know these guys get so loud. We were extremely lucky. We live right next to an elementary school. And when we moved in, I actually immediate run to all the neighbors and nicely introduced myself, and I brought them pies, I think. And I nicely said to them, hey, we're your new neighbors. Here's my phone number. We do have birds. They can get loud. We will make sure that they're not loud at nighttime and that it's not going to be obsessive and terrible. But if it's ever a bother, please just contact us and let us know. We'll be happy to deal with it. Rather than like getting the cops called on you with a noise complaint. Luckily, that hasn't happened. Again, we soundproofed a lot of it. But when you get one of these really, really loud parrots, that is something you're looking into. And I think the biggest thing I'm going to end this on is don't take it personally when they bite you. It's going to happen. I have worked alongside tons of parrots, and the reality is they use their beak as a tool. And the classic idea of fight or flight, most people will clip their bird, and when birds are clipped, they can't fly away. They know they're not going to get out anywhere, and so their only defense mechanism is biting. As well as even when we have birds that are flighted, they're in a house. They know eventually if you try chasing them and corner them when they're tired and scared, they're going to bite. If they're scared, they can bite. If they're nervous about something, again, they can bite. And it's a pretty bad bite. I won't lie. These are wild animals, and their bite force is pretty significant, especially when they latch and hold. Most of the time, I will say the bites typically, if they're scared or spooked by something, it's a quick latch, let go. So they still put all their force behind it. You will have a bad bruise, but you won't need stitches. It's nothing like that. But it is very painful. You will bleed and you will be badly bruised for quite some time. And that's a relatively mid-tier bite. If they're really aggressive with you, if you've done something to them and they're holding a grudge and they're out to really bite you, and that's the goal, they bite and latch and they don't let go. Almost like you've heard of the pit bull, like lockjaw. It's kind of the same thing. I have had a cockatoo latch on me in fear, more aggression, and just that. They don't let go. And you can't really pry them off. You kind of just, wait for them to let go. But man, they can hold you down and have pressure put on you for a good 10, 20 seconds, flapping and, holding that down and then letting go. So you really can't take it personally when they bite you. I tell people all the time, because again, I've looked into the behavioral aspect of these things and the training aspect, and you do want to take a step back and always ask yourself, what circumstances led to the bite. It's I was going to say rare, but it's not rare. It's impossible that they're biting you for no reason. There's always a reason behind why they choose to do something, whether it's to fly away, whether it's to sit by you or bite you. So asking yourself why they did it and taking a couple steps back and assessing the whole picture. But that's something that I think everyone with a cockatoo has to learn. Again, I don't want to scare people. It's not like they're biting you all the time, but just like us, if you're scared, and you have no place to run, your fight aspect, especially, because you say my brain I just get so scared, and I just, that's my only goal. Yeah, I love these birds, obviously. I have two of them, and Riot definitely is my soul bird. But I wouldn't recommend it for anyone. Even people that have done a ton of research and are dedicated. The amount of people, when I managed a bird store, that would spend months researching this species in particular and the subspecies of each cockatoo and narrowing it down and really going, okay, I've watched every video, I've read about it, on so many different sources, I'm ready to have a cockatoo. The likelihood of that perfect person who did everything right and researched and prepared, the likelihood that they're actually going to keep the cockatoo for the rest of its life is slim to none. It's very sad, but I have seen it firsthand. The best owners who have had these birds for years, still something happens and they have to rehome them. And that is the biggest thing that I would like to avoid if giving people knowledge about what these birds are actually going to be like. If you have someone move into the house who becomes allergic to this bird, what's your plan in place? Can you have a room dedicated to where just your bird can be so that the person who moved in isn't exposed to it anymore? If you fall in love and that person is now getting attacked by your cockatoo, what plan can you put in place so that you don't have to rehome it? If you're going to have a baby, if you're going to have a human child, the amount of cockatoos and birds in general that get rehomed for that reason. Looking in your future, please look down the future. What are you going to do when things change? How are you going to cope and keep this bird for the rest of its life? Because these birds in the wild, they do not break off the flock and go find a new flock. The flock that they are born in is the flock they stay in. And I just, knowing that there are always babies that are going to be born, what can we do to make sure that every bird that's placed in a home will be able to stay in that home? Yeah. Other than that, I love them to death. And if you love them, I highly recommend going to a local bird store and interacting with any birds that they have, especially a cockatoo. You've got to hear their scream firsthand. That's like you got to do it once in your life. You just got to witness the intensity of a cockatoo scream, especially a happy cockatoo scream. It's one thing when they're scared, but just their happy scream is like, I'm speechless. I was trying to come up with a word to explain it, but I'm pretty speechless. I've said a lot. Sorry about that. Again, my editing skills are going to be tough. But in terms of my new segment of Bird Talk Tuesday, cockatoos. What's it like to be with them? Now I'll get to ask Riot if he has anything to say. Riot says no. Riot, hi. Can you say bye-bye? That's hello. Can you say bye-bye? No. Can you say bye-bye? Bye-bye. He says, what? Bye-bye. What? Bye? Hello, bird. He doesn't want it to end. Oh, wow, that's a lady. Who let the bird out? Who let the birds out? Who let the bird out? Who let the bird out? Who did it? Who let the bird out? Who let the bird out? Wow. Amazing. Pretty bird. Amazing. Yeah, we love bird. We love bird. We do. We love bird. We do. Bye-bye. He says, yeah. Gibberish. Wow. Alrighty. So, yes, that's it for Bird Talk Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we'll see what we talk about. Bye.